We have a couple. Oh, I heard the recording in progress, so I stopped. So I am the director of maintenance and operations. So facility services has a few different, I will say, fingers within inside of facility services. We have a utilities group that also houses engineering. I have my group, which is maintenance and operations. I'll go into a little bit further description of what that is. We have building services, which is more of the custodial side that also houses the housing group too. And then we have like grounds, we have motor pool, central stores. We have a plethora of different services within facilities. My team actually handles carpentry, roofing, life safety, elevators. We have electrical, plumbing, HVAC, controls, chillers, inside steam. So just to give you kind of an understanding of what my team does. If you're in any of the buildings, if you feel comfortable, that's due to my team making sure that everybody is comfortable. If the toilets flush as they're supposed to, if you use the restrooms, that's because my team makes sure that they're working correctly. If the lights are on and you're able to get your AV up and working, that's because of the electrical team as well. So if there are ever any issues, that's typically my team that is called to handle those. We do stay quite busy because we have campus side, we have health science center and vet med. So we cover everything but IFAS and Department of Athletics. So anything else, if it's academic related or research related, we're typically responsible for those buildings. So I hope that helps give you kind of an understanding of where what I deal with. I normally like to start with trivia. Doing it over Zoom can be a little challenging, so I won't ask you all to unmute at one time, but I'll just go through some statistics of what we do. So in 2023, we had about 60,000 plus students on campus. Last year, I think we had about 75,000 students who put in an application to come to UF. So UF is highly sought after on the academic side. And the way I look at it on our facility side, I want us to be the same benchmark. So I think I said this last week to the group, but my motto with my team is magnificence over mediocrity. So I want to make sure we're always doing the best, putting 110% out there for everybody, making sure that our customers, who are the users of those spaces, are getting the best out of UF possible. So doing business with UF is very important. And I think it's a privilege too. So I always look at it that way. We cover about 2,000 acres for the main campus. We have a little over 1,000 buildings, around 1,033. And then we have about 23 million square feet. Now, we do also have some offsite areas. IFAS is in every one of the counties in Florida, but my team also handles a property that's in St. Augustine called Whitney Lab, and then we also have the reef that's out in Fort Walton. There's Lake Nona that's in Orlando, so UF reaches pretty far, as everybody can understand. So anyway, I wanted to go over what it is to do business at UF. Any questions so far with the stats that I've given? No?
Yes.
Okay, yes, good.
This said what was the name of the building in St. Augustine?
It is called Whitney Labs.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? I think I saw one more. No? Okay. All right. I'm going to ask Desiree to kind of help me keep watch if somebody either raises a hand or if they come off mute and they want to ask a question. I can get to talking and sometimes I won't stop, so you'll have to forgive me for that. One of the things that we like to talk about is you understanding the environment at UF. I came from Atlanta, so about 2 years ago. So trust me, that's a feat in itself. But coming to UF, higher ed is way different than any other place that you'll do business. It is a good thing. So most of you may be alums or may know someone who goes to UF or have children who go to UF or have relatives who go to UF. That is great. I plan on my children coming to UF, but you have to learn how to do and you have to understand the education environment. Without the students, we don't have an environment. That's the way I always look at it. Yes, research goes on and that's great. But the University of Florida is an education facility, and that's what we go after first, is making sure the students are taken care of and can learn in the best environment possible. So always keep that in mind. They're not here for you, you are here for them. That's what I always tell my team. We are always here to make sure the students and the faculty, I'm not going to leave the faculty out, are also part of that, part of our customer base, and one of the most critical ones. We have many stakeholders. It could be that you all could be, your customers could be a variety of people. It could be Shands, because they come over sometimes to do research. It could be the researchers. It could be the students. It could be faculty. It could be event staff who are doing things for the president. You never know, because UF is quite a large campus. And then sometimes we intertwine with IFAS and with Department of Athletics. So you may be one of your groups, like if you're at the O'Connell Center doing work, it's a conglomerate of people that kind of come together. It's a partnership. So I like to look at the vendors who also provide services as partners as well. We're all partners trying to make one thing happen, and that's for UF to be the best that it can be. So at the end of the day, you may say, well, how do I do that? We're going to talk about that, and there are expectations. But I wanted to talk to you about what you'll learn today. So I've already talked about the environment. We'll talk about how many stakeholders, which I kind of touched on a little bit, parking and site access. This will be a critical one for everybody. And then materials and storage, safety, general rules. And then I've already talked a whole lot about the student factor. I may circle back to that again. Okay. So any questions before we move forward? Okay. So if there's one thing that I can talk about, and everybody they may have been aware of with the news recently, is to be aware of the environment. I mentioned the students, it gets very congested. Last week, I was asking everybody if they've been on campus before with a show of hands, and most people were, they had been on campus. And I'm like, well, you've got a blessing this week because it was not very busy. This was last week. Now that school's back in session, it gets quite congested very easily. You've got to deal with pedestrians walking, you've got to deal with scooters, bicycles, people who are out exercising and running, you've got to deal with vehicles altogether, deliveries, and then construction. So there's quite a breadth of what entails when school is in session. You have to be aware of your surroundings all the time, every time. I always tell everybody, we're not in that big of a hurry that we would create an unsafe condition. So always know when you're around, give yourself plenty of time. If I know I've got to go to Health Science Center, I'm going to allow myself for a meeting, probably 45 minutes, even though I know it only takes 30, because I never know what I'm going to run into at any given day. So I would say always make sure, if you know you've got a meeting or you've got to meet a customer or something on site, give yourself plenty of time to be aware, especially if it's around class changing time and schedules, because that creates a whole different introduction of things and challenges. So be aware of your surroundings at all time. Be sure that it meets your needs and that you are going to be here to meet the needs of your customer. Understanding the environment also comes with, we have a lot of noise, we have buses on campus, so there's fumes, there's all kinds of things that we deal with on a daily basis. So get to know what the campus is if you have not been on campus already. I think most of you may be given a mentor, if I'm not mistaken. I would say shadow that mentor or ask them what their challenges are if they're in the same service industry that you are. Come on campus before you ever come for a meeting would be a good suggestion, so that you kind of know the lay of the land. If you've never been on campus, you need to at least come through and know where your meeting might be. Just kind of walk it and say, it's going to take me a little bit more time than I thought. Don't make the first time that you come on campus the day that you're coming to your first meeting. That might not go so well, and you might get lost in the mix. So my boss told me when I got here, he said, Kim, take at least 2 years to really get to know the campus. And he was right. Now that I know it, I'm still learning things all the time. Like I'll have to stop and say, wait a minute, which direction, especially if I'm on the Health Science Center side, just because it's so big. So please make sure you get to know that. Talk to your mentor about getting to know that. Any questions before I move on to the next one? Because the next one gets pretty engaged with parking and site access. Any questions at all? Okay. Parking and site access. So we are a large campus. We are continuously growing. One thing that is a challenge all the time, every time, is parking. Do not create your own parking. That is a big no-no, and you might get towed in the mix of it. So do not create your own parking. Look for parking around. Sometimes there's hourly parking. I know at the Wright Union you can pay to park. It's a mobile app. Do not assume when you see the different ones that say orange or gold that you can just whip right in there and park. Parking and transportation will give you a ticket. Or should I say you earn that ticket? Because if you don't follow the guidelines, you might have earned that ticket instead. So please make sure you know if there's a laydown area, that's great. Typically that laydown area is not meant for your daily parking. It's meant to bring stuff to the area and then quickly go to where you need to park. Please don't make assumptions. Please ask questions before you make assumptions because that can get you into a lot of trouble. Parking and transportation does a great job here, but they do have a job that they're supposed to do, and that's to ensure that everybody follows the rules with parking and site access. We have issues where we have a lot of construction that's going on. Right now, we have it over at Health Science Center. We have some roofs going on, Stetson and Communicore. We have a dental project going. So the loading dock there at Communicore and Dental gets very congested. What I have told the people there is that I will commit to the fact that my team will not park in that area, even if they're coming for a short time, because it helps eliminate some of that congestion that's going into the area. They have a lot of deliveries in that area per day. Knowing site access and parking, we do have people that take parking and maybe abuse it a little bit. We have one contractor that I know, and he decided he would park in a service vehicle parking, and he parks there daily, but he left his vehicle. I don't know what his backstory is, but he left his vehicle the entire weekend. That's a big no-no, and that will get you towed. So parking and transportation do keep an eye out, and they keep an eye out very deliberately and diligently, because what you're doing is you're taking away from someone else who is either paid for parking in an area or they need access to that area for a very good reason. So parking and site access are very critical to know. And before you make assumptions, please ask a question first. So any questions? No, you're a quiet bunch.
Oh, wait, Kim, I do have a question.
Okay.
My name's Jana Lynn. I'm with Main Street Daily News. I deliver newspapers on campus to some different departments.
Yes, ma'am.
You said a lay down area. What exactly is that?
So that's a very good question. A lot of times there's a lay down area for contractors who's doing large projects. So if we're changing out an air handler as an example, or if we're doing like the roofing project over at Communicore, contractors have a certain area. It's typically on grass or gravel or close up to the building so they can lay their materials down to to build efficiency in what they're doing to get the project done. It's not a lay down area that most people will have. Like if you're doing media and you're delivering or catering's delivering, you won't have a lay down area. It's typically larger projects that get those.
Because I have found some spaces that are, marked delivery. So I park in the delivery, I get out, I drop it off, I run back. But there are some buildings that I haven't felt confident to deliver to because I haven't been able to find a delivery area, but I am in a van that has logos that marks us as media. So do I need to be very specific about only staying in those delivery areas? And then we also have writers who might need to get to an area quickly to write a story. So just so I can relay to them, like what should I have them look for?
Yes, they should stay in an area where it's a service vehicle. If you want to park in service vehicle, those are only meant typically for a couple of hours. So it's not meant for them to park there all day and then go around.
Right.
You need to kind of move around to certain areas. And when in doubt, you can ask like, hey, we need to be at this building, and ask someone like, where would be a good place for us to park? You may be able to pay, like there may be some pay by the hour parking. So I would say ask a lot of questions. And at the end of the day, you can always call parking and transportation. They are very good at saying, hey, if you're doing this, this would be a good area for you to park. Because it's also about
Okay.
safety. We want to make
Yeah.
sure that your team members are safe when they're getting out and having to deliver. And we're wanting to make sure that other people, it's not impeding something where it's an ADA, it's a disability area, like somebody needs access. So at the end of the day, I would ask TAPS before I would do anything if you can't find something readily.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Sure. It's a very good question, though. Any other questions? Nope. Okay. Materials and storage, again, I talked about lay down areas, so I won't go a whole lot into that. For catering sometimes, and I ran into this just this week. I had a vendor reach out to me. They deliver for regularly for some of our food groups on site. And so they ran into a challenge at our health science center where the elevator was shut off and they didn't have access. So they reached out to Shands first, and then Shands reached out to me and said, hey, we've got a problem. So I tracked it down. We found out what the issue was. We've resolved the issue for that vendor. But it was getting ready to become a really big challenge for them to get a lot of this food delivered to the restaurant areas or the food areas so that those people could provide a service to all the customers. So when you have an issue, reach out. We will try to help resolve that. We were able to resolve that issue for the vendor within 24 hours to where they wouldn't have an issue the next couple of days for some critical deliveries. So at the end of the day, if you have something that you need to get delivered, it's a special delivery, whatever, we are here as a resource for you as well to make you successful. And it's a partnership, as I mentioned earlier. So you need to reach out to us and say, you got a question? I'm having this challenge. Do you know, or can you point me in the right direction? Because it is a large campus to navigate. It is a small city. And so if you've been on campus, you know that already. Please ask questions before you make assumptions, though, is what I would say. So any questions about that? Okay, we're good. We're going to talk about a kind of a topic that is close and near and dear to my heart. It's safety. Safety is paramount here. If not for anybody else, it is for me. And I do have a large team that's here, and they know safety is the top priority. I want you to come in and do your work every day and go home to your family same way, or if not better than what you arrived. So to do that, we need to take extra precautions. So I want to make sure that you and your teams, if you have teams, are very safe in what you do. Again, please don't make assumptions. Those can lead to something that's a challenge. I would ask that you come to us, ask us questions. We'll get you to the right people. We do have an environmental health and safety group that's on site that can also help with some of those challenges, whether it's construction or it's food delivery. We want you to be safe. Not too long ago, unfortunately, and it was a student who was riding on a scooter. She was over near our Southwest Rec area and unfortunately collided with a car, and she lost her life. And that was very sad. There's a memorial there if you're on campus. I think it's still there. I haven't checked in the past couple of days, but anyway, very sad. We don't want to see that with anybody. And so anytime that happens, is it something that when you think about it, I would take an extra time to think, hey, how can we do this? This is a challenge, whether it's an ergonomic issue or it's a true safety issue, it's a traffic issue, whatever it is, please take the time to be safe. Again, you going home to your families. If your family happens to be here and you want to swing by and see them, that's great. But your family and you are very important to us as much as the students are. So we want to make sure that you're safe every single day. If you see an unsafe act, please report that because that helps us correct those issues as well. Construction is a big one where there's lots of trades coming together to do a major project. We want to ensure that that project is getting done as safely as possible for everybody. Students, we want to make sure that they're safe. I mentioned this last week. We, over at Norman Hall, we had that big tree in the courtyard that's been there for hundreds of years and was beautiful, but it did not survive the hurricane and it had to come down. We have put up several barriers around to keep students out of unsafe areas, and I'm gonna let you guess how that's gone. It has been a challenge within itself. So we're trying to keep people safe as much as possible. So if you do see something that you think is unsafe or that you know, please reach out to us. We'll try to take care of it. But you doing your work is also paramount. So however you need to do it, please make sure you take the extra time to do it safely. If you see spills, if you're one that's creating a spill, be sure that you call and get help and you try to do as much as you can to safely clean that up so that it doesn't become a slip and trip hazard for somebody else. So any questions about safety? Wow, I must be doing a really good job because I'm getting just very few questions.
Yes. This is Edward. I do have a question.
Okay.
Could you post like a number you could call for emergency just in case if you were to see something that was unsafe?
Absolutely. So the first place I would tell you to go if you see something unsafe is to report it to our police that's on site. That would be the best. And I don't have their number in front of me, but I will get it to Desiree and to the group so that y'all can make sure. But if you see something unsafe, you call the police right away and they know where to get it to, who they need to get to. Good question, though. Thank you for raising that. Desiree, do you happen to have the police number on handy, or can you put it in the chat for everybody?
I will do that in a few minutes.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, general rules that we have on site. There's some code compliance. So this is more when we're doing renovations, when we're doing projects on site. So some of this may not apply to everybody, but we do have permits. There's a permitting process that we do on site. So when that does apply to you, you need to make sure that you reach out to our environmental safety and health. We do have construction design standards. So I think I heard a couple of people are in the construction side. Our planning, design, and construction group have all of those and can give you access if you're doing a project with them. Outage notifications, we have water, electric, HVAC, sanitary, fire alarm, fire sprinkler. All of those have to get registered and approved, both with facilities, EH&S that I mentioned earlier, and with the customer, whoever's being impacted in the area that the outage is being requested. We have walk-off mats inside for the person or couple of people that I think were custodial to minimize dust coming into the building. So that's a good thing when we're looking at cleaning. And then cleanup. Please leave your work site just as good, if not better than you found it. So if you have done something and you've made a mess, please don't leave that mess. That means somebody else has to clean it up for you. And part of doing work is doing good quality work. And part of that sometimes is just simple cleanup. When I'm walking into a building, when I'm walking into my office, if I see something laying on the ground, the other day squirrels had gotten in the trash. I'm not sure how they did it. They're very creative creatures. They got in and got a Chick-fil-A bag that somebody had had for lunch. Was it my bag? No. Did I enjoy handling it? No, but I picked it up and put it back in the trash. So everybody can make our campus beautiful. It's not just, don't point to somebody else. It's their responsibility. It's everybody's responsibility. So please, please follow our rules, clean up after I used to say it's kind of what you learned in kindergarten. Pick up after yourself, clean up. It's a cleanup time. So make sure you do that when you have a job. Leave it better than the way you found it. That's the way I always put it. But please make sure you're always compliant with what our standards are if you're doing construction or anything else. We want to make sure you're successful, but in order to do that, you have to be a good rule follower too. So please make sure that you're following those rules. Please make sure if you have questions, you ask those. I always say the only dumb question is the one that's not asked. So please ask those questions. We love getting them. That's why I've stopped along the way to make sure you all have time to ask. If you think of one after I get off today and you're like, man, I would have asked him that question, Desiree can get that question to me. It's not a problem. We can make sure we get that answered for you. So please make sure you have everything that you need. Knowledge is the key. Questions are part of getting knowledge, right? So please ask, please ask. I will talk about inappropriate behavior. So we also we don't like to hear any abusive, profane, or otherwise inappropriate language. I don't use those anyway, and I want to make sure nobody that does work with us as well, that happens, because we want to make sure we're always professional, we're always respectful, and we always do things with integrity. Those are some key things that we want to walk away with. I'm not saying any of you would ever go do this. I'm just telling you, we don't want to see that here. An inappropriate behavior will get a conversation going, and possibly you would lose the opportunity and privilege to do business on site. So please make sure that you or your team are always respectful. No using of break rooms, office phones, university ladders or equipment, step stools or furniture are permitted, and no excessive noise. So in a lot of areas, especially where we have some animal care, they are very quick to tell you, please watch the noise intake, and the patient cares as well. So we have a lot of areas where there's patient care. And then students are also trying to learn, and distractions are not what we want to hear or see when they are in class trying to learn, or research, or anything else is happening, patient care in that facet. Do not fraternize with the students. I'm sure everybody knows what that means, but do not fraternize with them. That is not okay. That is an inappropriate behavior as well. So make sure you nor your team, because if we get reports, we act quickly and swiftly. That is something that we always take very seriously. So please, if it comes to my attention, I do not tolerate that. If you see any of my team doing that, I want to know immediately, but my team knows we are the face of facility services. So we go with the truest and highest level of respect, professionalism, everything else you can imagine. So we ask that of what we're asking of you, we ask of ourselves. So please make sure you are abiding by that. And again, if we find out that you or your team are doing that, we will get with you quickly and immediately, because that is not okay. All right. Any questions? Comments? No?
Yes, ma'am. This is Edward again.
Okay.
Does the maintenance facility ever post anything for bidding for janitorial cleaning?
So that would be our building services group. And sometimes they do reach out for to different groups about what services they're needing. If it's like something overtime or they need to take care of immediately, they may engage outside vendors to help with that. If that is something, and I would tell this to the whole group, so it may not be an area I'm responsible for, but I partner with every one of the ones who are in facility services. We all work as a team. So if you send me your information, I'm happy to always provide that to the right people and get them to reach out to you. Last week, some of the participants came up to me afterwards and handed me business cards, and they were interested in doing work with my team specifically. And so I immediately, when I came back, I went to see the two superintendents who report to me and said, hey, here's some small businesses. They gave me their cards. Just want to pass this on to you. These are options. We can try small and maybe see where that goes. And so they both took the cards and they're like, yes, we're always looking. So if you send me your information or give it to Desiree and she gets it to me, they also know the partners that I deal with in facility services and the other directors, so they can get it to the right people as well. So you don't only have to send it to me, you can give it to them, and as part of what they do with their partnership, they get it to the right people. So that's, does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any other questions? I'm standing up, so I think I kind of went off camera there for a minute. I did not mean to. I move around a lot, so my apologies. And I use my hands, but you can't see me using my hands, so. So one of the last things that I want to talk about is the student factor that I mentioned earlier. So as I mentioned, the Norman Courtyard students are curious. Students are always, they like to talk and they like to ask questions. And during class schedules, they like to take the shortest path possible to their next class. I mentioned the bikes and the scooters and everything. You have to be hyper aware of them and where they're going because they're in a hurry. And so just remember they are the reason why we're here. And if you have kids who are in college or planning on going to college, you think about that as, hey, that could be my child one of these days. So we want the best care possible for them. Their parents have entrusted us to give them the best education possible. And so we want to make sure that they're safe as well. So that's what I would say to the group. I just want to make sure that, and I think I've gone over my time a little, so I want to make sure there's no other questions that before we have to leave, but that was all that I had for my presentation.
Yes, ma'am. I have a question. So, do you prefer us to reach out to Desiree, or could you leave your email in the private chat, the meeting chat?
I'm always happy. Desiree has my, she can put that in the chat as well. I'm always happy for my email to be out there as a point of contact, but I really do want to partner with them and let them tell you the best way to get your information to the groups because they also have
Okay.
that information. I want your path to be the easiest possible, but I also want to abide by their process and what they want. So